Gundam.tk presents Silhouette Gundam. Hey, what's up again everybody? It's Robert184, 2Rs2Bs, GundamReviews.net, and if you've checked out my intro and the parts for this Silhouette Gundam RXF-91, you can see that it's a very old school kit from all the way back in 1992 with an over-reliance on seals, but some other cool stuff like the multi-injections on the A-plate that are all going to go into the same part. So let's see how it works together as an actual plastic model and mobile suit. And when he's all finished, there you have it. I can't believe it's not the F-91 Anaheim Electronics RXF-91 Silhouette Gundam. And I've got to say that he actually doesn't look that bad on first impression. The colors are bright, he's got all the right Gundam colors in all the right places. And actually, I have to say that those colorful seals and the words and the yellow and the red and the silliness, it actually sort of makes him come to life somehow, in my eyes anyway, but of course, that's completely subjective. The backpack is a little bit disappointing compared to the F-91, which looks great in the Vespas. They're not looking all that fantastic, they don't even fold up all that well, but you can see them from the front and they do bulk him out a little bit. But it's the little details like the RXF-91 and all those details down in the legs in terms of colors and on that chest, which is very, very colorful, that really this guy is getting a pass in my eyes so far. I wonder though if the closer you get to it and the more that you see the seals and the bad lining and stuff like that, the less attractive he's actually going to be as an MS. In terms of posability, well, what can you do? Well, you can move the skirts ever so slightly. They're just on these little clamps that are holding them on that aren't particularly useful, so you can only bring the leg this far forward. You're not going to get a full shark kick. And it's only going to bend 80 degrees anyway. Off to the sides, because it's on a ball cap, poly cap, it's hardly going to move at all. And the ankles also being on a poly cap, they're just going to wiggle off to the side ever so slightly, but a good range of motion front to back. For the upper body, if you got the Vespers out of the way, I could wonder, the arms are going to go all the way around, they're just attached on a poly cap there. I was very worried with these shoulders being very loose. They're just attached on here on 2 points and they don't feel like they're stuck on there well at all. But when you plug the whole thing in, usually they'll get caught between the shoulder and the body, so they're going to stay in place. The elbows are going to bend over 90 degrees and they'll rotate around on the elbow, 3-finger trigger finger split as mentioned, and the head is going to turn around and it's on a bit of a polycap, so you're going to get that much ability to move it up, but no angry looking down for this guy. Arming him up involves just putting the shield on there on the forearm, which is no problem at all. Whether you want to put in the pink parts or not is up to you. You can clip this part on, it's just going to be a nice easy fit, and yet there's this horrible design flaw where you've got the hands down here, and if you take the beam rifle and you try to put them in, they are not going to fit down there, so you're actually just going to have it hanging loosely, and it's not going to be able to go up properly because it's going to bang into the wrist. Yes, very much not a cool way to hold your beam rifle. Thanks to the wonders of sticky tack, the beam rifle is in hand, although you're going to wonder for how long. And without that pink shield on, he's actually not as cool looking as I thought. It looks a little bit oversized. But having these two weapons over there, I think it's a really cool idea actually, to have two weapons the same color over there, one sitting on the arm, one in the hand. This part though, it's a little bit disappointing, but it is going to allow you to move it forward and not bang into the shoulder, which you can see will be the problem as soon as I add these. At 15.4 meters, you can't expect the Silhouette Gundam to stand up to too many, but with it similarly timed, you've got the Burgagiros from F-91 in 1991, and you can see that this guy's filled out a lot more, but his shoulders, the Vespas in the back and the shield in the shoulders, this guy certainly doesn't come across as being one of the smaller, skinnier Gundams in the overall meta-series. And if you want to feel bad for somebody in the height department, it's got to go to the 1/100th non-grade F90. This is with the type A, D, and S all combined for his full equipment form. So even when you take this guy and you add on a whole bunch of weapons to all of his various hardpoints, the Silhouette Gundam is still going to look larger just on the virtue of him having the shield and that little forearm weapon and those big F91-ish shoulders. And checking him out next to the Master Grade Heavy Arms EW version from Gundam Wing, you can remember that most of the kits in the 90s were in the 16-17 meter range, so in 1/100th scale, of course, that corresponds to centimeters. And you can just see at 15.4 meters that this guy, the head height looks to be just about right with the heavy arms, but you can just see the overall bulk of the body with the size of the legs and the waist sections. And of course, if you add in the whole armory thing and all those weapon patches opening for the heavy arms, he's going to be a lot bigger. but you can just tell that the master grades are that much bigger, and so would he be if he was ever deemed worthy of getting a master grade. But this guy's been deprived of his big gun, and by that I mean his big visual appeal, and I'm talking about the shield, for too long. And you can see with this part on, of course it's not going to fit all that well because it's got to go under there, and the sticky tack just gave out, which means this whole pose cannot look cool from here on in. The Vespas aren't lined up either. But you still get the idea, the black, the yellow, the white, and the pink with the two parts up and above. I really think that that's one of the coolest shields in all of Gundam history. In terms of posing, don't expect too much wild and crazy about this guy. The legs are going to move around pretty well. The ankles, you can see, are going to flip up if you move them more than a little bit, and that shield is going to be in the way. You can't get it that dynamic, but it's still going to look good over there. Looking down the beam rifle, though, is not that great. You'll notice that the shoulder has to get rotated all the way around if you want to bring the arm up. So he looks okay like this, but really I don't think he's going to have too many poses that are really going to hit a home run. For bringing the beam rifle across the body, you're not going to get much more than that, and remember that that sticky tack, there's about a mountain in there because it's just not going to stay on any other way. You can't really use the shield all that well, and you can't bring it across. The arms aren't going to move too much, and if you do try to move them too much, they're actually going to dislocate, and then you start to have those loose shoulders which are going to fall out of the way. So all that we've really got left are those ugly looking beam sabers and the Vespas. I figure I'd get him posed so that he's getting ready to do a fencing duel or something like that, because he's got those handles on the beam sabers and they don't look bad overall just because they are longer than regular beam sabers. So they're not going to be all that bad that way, except for the fact that yes, they're all horribly white, and that looks, nothing can look good on a Gundam when you've got the weapons that are just all white, the same color as the body. Would have been a lot better if they had given you pink clear ones to go along with the shield, which is something that you'll see with the Neo Gundam that they actually did right. But as with the F-91, yes, it's the Vespas that have got to be his best visual feature. You hardly really notice them when they're hanging there in the back to go along with that nondescript backpack there. But anyway, the shield, you're still going to have the issues of it can only be in one way, and you are going to have the bonus of arrows pointing you to where those hand grips are, so you can flip those out. I was able to get this one in, but it's because of the way you have to angle the shoulder and the arm, because you're not going to have that much arm flexibility. You're going to have to get the shoulders at a somewhat awkward angle, but it certainly looks good to have those two barrels pointing forward, and certainly is probably the one that this is the pose that he'll probably be displayed on my or most people's shelves. So with both hands actually on the grips, I'm going to wrap up my review of the mobile suit mode of this Silhouette Gundam 1/109 non-grade. So anyway, why don't you let me know what you think of it, the way it looks and its posability and overall just quality with a comment down below. Love to hear from you, and of course your thoughts on the video itself. Anyway, everybody, stay tuned for the verdict, because I've got a list of all the good and bad things about this kit that I could think of after putting it together. So why don't you check out there for my final verdict, and as always, Robert184 Gundam.tk. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for new kits, old kits, and everything in between from F91 to F2091. Sorry, bad joke. See you next time, everybody. No, that joke was bad enough. We're gonna stop this video right now.